Hey, what's up guys? Zokli, Medieval 2, one more time. This is going to be on a battlefield that you're familiar with from a recent battle I played. In that last battle, it was me against my opponent. He was the Byzantine Empire. I myself was playing as France, and what I had basically done is he had the cav and missile advantage. So what I had done was to tackle his flanks. He got them too extended. And basically the takeaway from that battle is because I was able to get local superiority in various areas, so namely on this flank, I was able to tie down his cav, beat him, and then all out charge his center as he tried to relieve those flanks. I was able to kind of crush through and defeat him because he wasn't able to get in that position. Now my opponent is going to be playing as England. He has, again, it's sort of the same setup as that last battle where he has the missile superiority and the cavalry superiority. So what he's going to do is what I recommend my last opponent should have done, which is move up this center and just try and pressure me with his missile range. And we'll see how I decide to combat that. So I'm going to be playing as Denmark. So my build right here is mostly reliant on this heavy infantry. Knowing that that is their strength and that cavalry is not really their forte, what I'm deciding to do is just form up in what looks like just a massive spearhead. At the tip of it is going to be two of these peasant archers, and then in front, again, a cavalry unit. I described why I put these in the front in my last battle. I'll tell you again. They're basically to dissuade cavalry charges. I could put spearmen, but these guys are much quicker, and they can counteract enemy skirmishers who might try and get too close. Then behind that, I have my Viking raiders, 4 of those, and 4 of these dismounted hussars, Karls behind them. So that's sort of my first clump. Then I put 2 of my heavy cav back here, and then this is kind of my iron fist in the back, 4 of these feudal knights. So immediately I noticed that my opponent has, a pretty good amount of cav, but 2 of them over on this side are actually weak. These are 2 light cav. What he should have done is just put 1 light cav and 1 heavy cav on each side, balance his forces. But because he's left them unbalanced, I'm going to immediately realize that that's the position where I need to attack. So I'm going to again move out with my archers, and then back that up with this whole contingent here. And then I'm also going to start sending some breakaway forces, some reinforcements in the back who are going to parallel my units at a safe distance. These are going to be dismounted feudal knights. So seeing when your opponent provides a big front like this and he's just going to push up the center like I recommend doing, the best way to counter this is to probably just try and ignore the center and attack where he's weakest. So what my opponent should be doing is just pushing and probing with this, forcing me back with these more extreme range, very high quality Sherwood archers, and then he should keep his cavalry pretty close to his sides and make sure he supports those. What I'm going to do is try and split off his cavalry from this main army, and so that's why I'm positioning this army over here. The best way to attack one of these forces that has a big concentrated front is to split up your own forces. This can be kind of hard to do, but it's what I'm going to do to avoid, facing his archers from the front. So I'm going to peel off and sort of form 2 sides, one over here, the other one over here. This flank here is going to be to hold off his heavy cavalry ring, keep him from going and reinforcing that side, and then also putting pressure on the center if I need it. That's why these archers are still here, just to be able to tango and harass with his forces. I'm going to start pulling back on this side and pushing forward on this side. So from the battlefield perspective, let's see if we can get this. He's in a big line. Let's zoom out. If you look at the top right, he's in a big line, so I'm going to try and wheel this battle line where I can just obliterate his right side. I'm going to just pull back the left and not engage. So you can see that's what I'm doing here. His main line should be reforming to deal with this, however he's not quite doing that. He's going to pull his cavalry back into the shelter of his archers. That's a good move. And look at this, all his Sherwood guys are going to start getting off volley after volley after volley right into my guys. That's the perfect thing that he should be doing. His cavalry is retreating right back into the safety of his lines. And he's going to be targeting these guys. So he's going to start chewing into my Viking raiders. However, these are my lightest, cheapest troops, so I don't mind really having them as archer fodder. Meanwhile, I have my own archers dealing damage to his cavalry. I know I want to start chipping away at these guys as soon as possible. Just because I know that I want to win the cavalry engagement on this flank, so that's why I'm targeting them, and just allowing the archers to do a lot of damage, but at least it's damage on expendable troops. I know that because he spent so much on, 4 archers, or no, that's 5 archers, I basically have the equivalent of that amount of money in infantry that I can kind of throw away, so that's why having these 2 guys as fodder isn't too big of a problem. He's going to realize the threat and decide to counterattack my peasant archers. That's going to neutralize me. Over on this flank, I've decided to engage I know that, I have the cavalry superior on this flank, so I charge in with my heavy cav into his own light cav. I should obliterate them, come in with some more feudal knights that should knock them out. Have a look at this. He's going to have a 2-to-1 advantage against my cavalry here. So in this instance, I can never allow him to have the advantage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these guys back a bit, and I'm already sending in some reinforcements to help those guys out. Now, the Danish troops don't really have that many spearmen. I don't think they really have almost any spearmen in the early period, so I was basically forced to deal with cavalry by throwing in my own infantry. But what my opponent is doing well is he's sending in these heavy cav, exploiting my lack of mobility on this side. I don't have any way to catch up with these guys, and he's going to start smashing into this force with it, which has no spearman cover and has been stripped, of its cavalry cover. So he's doing a really good job. The next step would be to redeploy this front, push it up, and really keep me from reinforcing, and we'll see what he does. But yeah, these guys are coming for a lightning strike on these Viking raiders, and they'll all but destroy my guys. Like I said, I tried to withdraw. He saw that feint, and he's going to go ahead and try and sandwich my guys. However, I do intercept them. One of his cavalry units was probably better suited to try and smash my guys in the back. However, he didn't do that. I'm going to be withdrawing some of these cavalry who weren't needed for this fight to win it. Send them back here just to help kill these guys as soon as possible. But here comes this assault, sending in his light cav to start mopping up my archers, start to engage these guys. And then he's going to come in with these feudal knights. But you can see I'm going to try and keep these guys at bay by charging in with all my units. This is when he really needs to be moving up with his main force and preventing this intercept. What he's going to do next is decide to peel off these guys and just smash through my lines here, deal heavy damage to this front. And, sending reinforcements over there. So that's all good. If we were to move his main front here to help clean up this fight, he could effectively defeat my cavalry and probably smash up this flank. And I would be left with just heavy infantry, which he could kite all day with his skirmishers. But here you go. This is going to be his big strike. Look at this. We have 64 units at the start. He's just going to come smashing into this. And those numbers are really going to plummet down to 13, 10, 9... 6, and they're routed. So that's just how effective that is. He's going to countercharge feudal knights who started at 60, and just off a short charge of 40 feet, they've already lost 20 men. So he did a lot of damage. So quick strike in and out. What he needed to do was just retreat, come and smash into these guys, and pull back to the safety of his force. Over here, I have my cavalry advantage. I've been able to mop up his units, and now I'm going to be able to use these guys to chase back his cavalry. This is going to be a pretty decisive moment in the battle. He's going to decide to smash into this front without much reinforcement. What that's going to do is it's going to mean that his cavalry advantage that he had, he's going to toss it away just to take out one of my feudal knights, but it's going to catch him in a position where I'm going to be able to countercharge with my own feudal knights. I won't necessarily win, but I have the proximity of these guys to help even up that fight. He really should be sending a lot of reinforcements and detachments here. Also, another crucial moment is my Huskarls, my light cav. I've detached them, or I guess they're heavy cav. I've detached them from this fight. Instead of sending all the cavalry over here, they're going to be tasked with, robbing my opponent of his missile advantage. So that's going to keep him from, even if he somehow wins this battle, from continuing to kite me. So I'm going to go ahead and charge those guys in the back. And then I've also sent one of these dismounted feudal knights to intercept any reinforcements coming to this fight. So I'm sort of blocking all his attempts to reinforce. And here we go. I'm going to countercharge his own cav, and he's going to get way too many guys in here. He should have detached one of these feudal knights, smashed into the rear of that, freed up these two units, and then come back around and smashed into the rear of my guys or chased off these units. But by committing all his guys on one front, he's going to open them up to a charge from the back, from my dismounted Huskars and also these Viking raiders. All up the front, because he's sending guys to chase off my units, he's stayed a bit too stagnant. I'm going to decide to charge all out with my Viking raiders. Light infantry soak up the initial assault, and then send in my heavy infantry to to plug in the gaps afterwards. And you can see, once again, not charging all through the front, just some to commit his troops. This other one is going to go through here, and they're going to intercept these forces. The other one is going to go around to this position and then attack these guys on the flank. Meanwhile, my cavalry is continuing to clean up the rear, and these guys are going to go help the fight in the center. My archers are going to be targeting select blobs of infantry, so anywhere that I'm not able to get cavalry charges or infantry to attack from the back, I'm going to have archers help out in the fight. So every clump, do everything you can to make sure it turns in your tide. Over in this position where I got the sandwich on his cav, I only had 2 cavalry units to his 3, and I'm losing a lot of them. This guy's down to 4, almost dead. I think he's gonna survive with like 1 or 2 guys. This one's down to 24, but because I had infantry support, they're able to cut down on his horsemen and allow me to, even just if it's eking it out with 24 cav, that's enough to be able to start landing some strikes on the rear of these infantry and win me those battles. So there we go. This is where the mopping up operation continues. He did bring in some of his light cav to try and intercept me. I'm going to pretty much ignore those and just keep going to the backs of his infantry. I know he can't deal too much damage. So here we go, some reinforcement in here, and the cav are going to come peel off to this position and decide to engage one of these 2 units. Over in this front, I kind of have the infantry advantage already, so I don't need too much reinforcement. These light Viking raiders are pretty good at chopping into these higher value units, so it's pretty cost effective. And then on this flank, I have a mix of troops with some being on the flank attacking his guys, so that's a good move. However, he has some of his Sherwood archers who are going to be trying to even up that fight, but I still have my cavalry in the back coming back to prevent those guys from doing too much damage. My horsemen are going to be coming through here after dispatching his hobeliers. I finished off this small infantry blob, and now I'm going to be coming in. I figure I have enough infantry here, so I'm going to clean up the center of this fight with the strike against these. He still has 40 apparently, but there you go. They're going to start routing even after a little charge. It does so much damage, it's ridiculous. These guys are going to start routing too, and then the chain rout is pretty much going to continue. My cavalry came crashing down, just smote these guys into the dust. These Huskarls have really good axes, so you can see them doing a lot of damage to these units, and they're pretty good at armor penetration. But there you go, that's going to be the cleaning up operations. So this is kind of how you respond to the tactic in the previous video that I recommend for my opponent, where if he moves up his center, keeps his cavalry close, swing a majority of your forces over to one side, try and overpower that, and again get local superiority in one place and avoid his strength, exploit your strength. What he could have done to win was, as I said, the decisive moment came when he charged in with all his feudal knights. He landed some really, really good strikes against my infantry, did a lot of damage. He should have countercharged my cavalry, mopped those guys up, countercharged my guys who came to intercept. That would have freed up both of his forces, and then scooted out of there as quickly as possible. He should never have allowed my guys to come and sandwich his cav. And then also this blob, I would say, was way too immobile. They definitely should have moved up to help reinforce or cut off these reinforcements from swooping around and cleaning up this flank. So these guys were a bit too flat-footed, but for the rest of the battle, I think my opponent made the right choices. But I hope you guys learned a bit more about some strategy in this game, new strategies that you can employ and ways to counter, what your opponent is doing and whatnot. So every time, I think I might recommend how you could beat my tactic. So in this case, I had sort of a concentration of strength. What he should have done was what he did at first, land some decisive cavalry strikes, and then just retreated to his blob, because I think he would have evened up the balance of units there. But anyways, these are the final stats, so I got a lot of kills in the end. Just once he lost his cav, I could mop up his line. So, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.